That was Go West with Call Me. You're listening to Ashley's Story on BBC Radio Scotland, live from Pacific Quay, joined as always by sidekick Silent Paul. Hello Silent Paul, how are you this week?
I'm alright.
We're talking communication. We're talking. Paul, that's what we're talking. But we're talking miscommunications. We're talking about those mistakes you make on the phone. Maybe you've had an autocorrect on your text. Maybe you're one of those cool people who have face-to-face communications that can go awry. We want to hear from you. Get in touch via text 80295. Let us know about your communication fails. Or you can email us. What's the email, Paul?
It's ashleystoryshow@bbc.co.uk.
That's exactly what it is. Now, have you ever had a serious communication breakdown where it's all just gone awry and you've not understood the
This happens all the time because I work in jobs throughout the many years that require a lot of logistics.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, whether it's myself or someone else in the chain, there's always going to be breakdowns there.
Yes.
And it does happen.
It does. I think probably one of the most disappointing miscommunications I have experienced was when I was in Canada and I was staying with a lady and she had dogs and I let the dogs run about the garden and this Canadian couple came over to me and my mum and they were like, I'm sorry, you're going to have to put the dogs on leashes. They were chasing the fawns and I got so excited and thought Henry Winkler was on the island. And I didn't think baby deer. I didn't think baby deer.
No.
So very disappointing.
Can we also talk about your dislike for communication, especially on a personal one-to-one basis? Because phoning you is a chore. And sometimes, like you've seen, if I go on a roll, I can send like 7 text messages with all this information,
Which I prefer.
unanswered, like just. And I go, I know some people hate that, so I go, it's probably quicker for me to call.
I don't like that.
I call you, you either don't answer,
No.
or it's unanswered with, what's wrong?
I don't like being on the phone. Now that is in the diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder. Telephone calls and the anxiety surrounding telephone calls is one of the diagnostic points. So I get that it is very strange for other people because it's not just you.
I don't think it's
everybody who phones me.
I don't think this is just an autistic thing though. I think that might be, but I think a lot of people now
don't like the phone.
Don't like being phoned.
I was going to say that. I was going to say while it is diagnostically useful, it is also just reflective of our ability to communicate via our thumbs rather than our mouths.
And if you have a house phone, and someone phones the house phone, like you're like, who's phoning at this time?
It's either somebody trying to scam me, somebody trying to con me, somebody trying to sell me insulation, or it's somebody who's deed. And that's...
Or it's just the scammers are getting cleverer now because it used to be like no caller ID, and now it's like I'll make a phone call to someone for work, to like someone in Northern Ireland, and then somehow, some way, not accusing any of the phone companies, but I am, I will then get a scam phone call telling me I was in an accident, I didn't even know about it, from Northern Ireland, like only 20 minutes after I've made a call there, and so you have to answer it because it could be someone.
It could be somebody. It could be important. It could be a work thing. My favourite thing to do is I'll just do Harry Potter role play on the phone where I'm like, what's this I found? I'm a half giant called Hagrid.
Sometimes I like to pretend that I'm currently in said accident and it's just happened.
How did you know?
And then I'm like, how did you know? Get help, but also, are you a part of this?
Get in touch via text 80295. Let us know how you handle those scam callers who phone. It feels like they phone like 3 times a day at this point.
Easily.
It feels like that much. And we also want to hear about your favourite communication songs. If you've got a song that directly links to communication, let us know. And do you know what somebody has? Davy Hepburn in Aberdeen has said, how about Communication Breakdown by Led Zeppelin? Excellent suggestion. Here it is for you, Paul. Zeppelin and communication breakdown. Rona's been in touch with a communication breakdown. She says, I asked a friend what her dog's parents are like. What her dog's parents are like? She says, I don't know. My mum got it from an Eskimo. I said, an Eskimo? She said, no, a rescue home. She misheard rescue home as Eskimo. Paul is holding his head and having a chuckle.
That one hurts my head.
Why?
I don't understand how that works.
This one I really enjoyed. Sweary Wee Me says, I regularly panic and forget the phonetic alphabet when I'm asked for my postcode on the phone.
Always.
She says the last one was D for diphtheria.
Yeah, what's your best phonetic alphabet?
I always I panic off the bat because I don't know the phonetic alphabet. I haven't remembered it since I used to watch The Bill, and I would learn that off by heart, and it was like Lima, Foxtrot, Alpha. But when it comes time to actually doing it, I forget, and I'm like, A for Ashley, S for Schley, H for hello, oh, and then I start talking like I'm in primary school. I don't say L, I say oh. Yeah, what are your... Have you got one?
I always forget, and then all I do is I just say the same thing every time, and I'm like, oh, I'm really sorry, I'm really rubbish at my phonetic alphabet. Stall for time, get the right answer, then say, oh yeah, it's J for Juliet.
Ken says, as we all know, lol means laugh out loud, but not my missus. Her sister's husband passed away, so on the sympathy card she ended it with lol, believing it meant lots of love.
I've heard that one before. That's very tricky. You can't do that. I have also now taken to using things like emojis.
Okay. In what context?
Just because I realise that in certain texts...
Tone.
You can't convey tone.
This is okay. I worked this out ages ago. My agent and my mum, because I panic constantly that I'm in trouble, which is why whenever you phone me I go, oh, what did I do on the radio, what am I in trouble for? That's my level of anxiety all the time. And my mum and my agent worked this out, so when it's a worrying moment, they put a clown at the end of the text, just so I know it's to be taken in a funny tone or an angry face at the end of it if I'm in trouble.
I've told people, but they send me texts and they go, can you call me? Call me when you can.
Yes.
And I'm like, you can't do that.
No, because that's a nervous Nelly thing. That's unkind to do that to people. I don't like that at all.
If you say something like, can you give me a wee phone, you know that it's fine. You've got to take the edge off it, but call me.
Yeah.
Can you call me now?
Well, maybe they just want to talk. Segue.